Hello. I've been reading about houses recently. Around where I live there are quite a lot of new houses. They look nice, but it is noticeable that they often look quite small, considering that they have 3 bedrooms. Also noticeable is that the windows look small in comparison to, say, the house I live in, which is quite old. So the paper I was reading was written by the UK Green Building Council, or UKGMB. And the basic message from the UKGMB is that the way in which houses and apartments are designed and built needs to be much better. So in this talk, I'll summarise what exactly needs to be better and what the consequences are if houses and apartments are not built in a way that pleases those who live in them. Firstly, though, I'll look at how the report was compiled. So this organisation, the UKGMB, surveyed nearly 500 people of all ages who live in houses and apartments. That was both homeowners and those who rent their accommodation. And these people answered a short questionnaire which covered the features of a home which contribute most significantly to a sense of well-being, both physical and mental well-being. And the survey found that most people's requirements revolve around 4 basic areas, and I'll list those for you and explain them. The first point is light and air. People want to feel that they have a lot of natural daylight coming into the property throughout the day. And they want to have fresh air throughout the home, so ventilation is important. I guess that means the ability to open windows on either side of the house or apartment so that air flows through the building. And of course, light means that there needs to be enough windows, and the windows need to be large enough to let light in. The second point is about size. People who answered the survey who live in homes built from around the year 2000 report that they do not have enough space, which includes things like space to store things, clothes and possessions, and space to socialise. Let's think about those in turn. Storage space first. It's easy enough to squeeze 3 bedrooms into a smallish home, but 3 bedrooms is not much use if the room is only big enough for a bed. My wife and I share 3 wardrobes and a large chest of drawers in our bedroom. If the room was any smaller, we'd have to store our clothes in the kids' bedroom, which would leave no space for the rubbish that the kids accumulate. Secondly, space to socialise. By this, typically the survey respondents mean either a kitchen with enough space for a table to eat around, or a living room / dining room combination where the living room has a space for a table to come together as a family, or with guests to eat as a group. I mentioned at the start that new houses around where I live, looking at the floor plans for many of these homes, it seems that the kitchens are only big enough to actually prepare food in and not to eat in. And the living space, the living room, is only really big enough for the usual living room furniture, settee or couch, and armchairs. Thus, I suppose eating as a family means sitting on the settee with a meal on your lap, and probably watching TV as well, which doesn't sound very sociable. The third point is about temperature and year-round temperature comfort. Older houses in the UK were not built to be very energy efficient in winter, so the occupiers need to use a lot of gas to heat the property in winter. Newer homes are much better for keeping heat inside in winter, but it seems not so good at keeping the heat out in the summertime. Thus, the recommendation is to think more carefully about the location of windows to suit where the sun will or will not be in the height of summer, and windows that can be opened wide enough to allow ventilation, but I guess not too much that the homeowner or tenant might feel unsafe. The fourth and final point is location, amenities and connectivity. By amenities we mean the shops and the schools and leisure facilities. Connectivity means how easy it is to get to these places. It's noticeable that as the need for houses in the UK increases, more and more housing estates are built right on the edges of existing towns and cities. So these houses are further and further from the centre of the towns where the main amenities are located. Also, planners often seem to forget that building a load of new houses will inevitably mean an increase in traffic. Many families nowadays seem to have 2 cars, at least. So when a lot of new houses are built on the edges of towns, the existing roads into and around the town need to be not an afterthought or indeed forgotten about altogether, but a central part of the design, as does public transport and the ability to walk or cycle safely to different parts of the town. Some of the survey respondents noted that if their neighbourhood had a strong sense of community, this factor also led to a better feeling of safety and security, and of the neighbourhood being more child-friendly. It's interesting that the survey found that occupants living in older homes, that's those built before around 1945, felt a better sense of community with their neighbours than those living in newer homes, those built after the year 2000. I don't know why that would be. In addition, it seems that many people would like there to be more trees and green spaces around their neighbourhood. They don't want to live in totally built-up areas. So those are the requirements, all based around 4 main ideas. Firstly, light and ventilation. Secondly, temperature. Thirdly, size. And fourthly, location/accessibility. So let's now consider the consequences of building homes that do not make people feel at home or don't make people feel comfortable. Research by Friedman, published in 2010, claims that the cost of treating medical conditions which are associated with poor housing can be as high as £2.5 billion per year in the UK. Typical medical complaints include respiratory or circulatory diseases, so breathing and heart problems, and mental health issues. Now that's a lot of money to be spent on treating these conditions. Finally, the UK GMB point out that all of these 4 factors can be fulfilled at a similar building cost if the design is well prepared in the first place. It doesn't have to be expensive to build some nice homes in a well-connected area. The question is, of course, if the policymakers will take any notice of these recommendations. It seems quite often that the building contractors are obviously in it for the money. They want to make a profit, which may mean cutting corners on such things as window size, green spaces around the new houses. So that's an interesting topic. Thank you.